Blessings and greetings, everyone. So, this is season one of my greatest testimony from 2012, one decade later. So, I'm going to be reading because I don't want to give it out of order. I want to give this testimony in the order that the things would have happened. So, just a little background. I grew up in church, and the reason for this is because my grandmother, now deceased, my mother's mom, she was a pastor. But in my youth, when I was younger, I never lived like fully godly, right? Especially when I was attending high school and primary school. During my teen years, when we had like church fast every Friday, I would tell God to help me to serve Him, right? And there were motives. I remember saying, God, you have to save me. I have done a number of bad things, yes, growing up. I know if this didn't happen to me, this whole situation that I am about to disclose, once again, I would not be the person I am today. Sometimes God does have to give us a good whipping. All right, to the testimony. 2012, it was June the 2nd. So June the 2nd last week would have made it a week, not a week, sorry, a decade since this thing would have occurred. Which was my grandmother's birthday. I was in lower six, so I was in high school still, and I was writing unit 1 A levels, right, keep examination. My auntie and others decided to have a Thanksgiving for my grandmother later that day. There were ministers at the Thanksgiving. I began experiencing a headache. While this minister, his name is Jude, was ministering, I remember he made a call. The call was for someone who was experiencing restless nights to come up and he would pray for them. I knew it was me, but I did not go for prayer because I was full of pride back then for sure. You know that feeling as if it is something shameful and it's like you don't want to go up to get deliverance because you don't want people to feel it's you. Yeah. When it was just the enemy not wanting me to get better or deliverance. So I have at that time was experiencing restless nights and sleepless nights since I was suffering with a spirit of fear. And then this headache that I was getting that evening continued the entire night. Now the next day, which would have been June the 3rd, I basically the headache continued, but it felt more like a migraine. It was really intense. I had my economics unit 1 examination. So I left for school with this headache. I could not function during the writing of the examination because the migraine just kept getting worse. For 24 entire whole hours, I was experiencing this migraine. It was only the beginning of what was about to happen. At night around 6:30 p.m., some people say evening, I started to feel very cold, like when someone is dying. Then a certain part of my body started to tremble. So I covered under the sheets. And I told my mother about it, so she began to pray with me. I was praying too, but I was scared and I was thinking like I was going to die. And then knowing the lifestyle I was living back then, more like a lukewarm Christian, you know that you wonder if God gonna really answer your prayer because the word of God says that the prayer of the righteous availeth much. Right, so I had more faith in my mother praying than me praying for my own self. So my mother and I, but mainly her, was praying from that time till almost 1 a.m. before I started to recover from that coldness and tremble and feel like if I wanted to pass away. But you know what happened from that day continuing for so every consecutive day after that day I was experiencing the same coldness, like if I want to pass away. And of course my mother would pray every single day, right? Thank God for a mother like that. So it would have been about 55 days, or you can say approximately 2 months. After a certain time during the day, I would feel this particular week. As my mother continued to pray, things started to get worse, right? I started to have an upset stomach, right? Or I would eat little to nothing. So as a result, I was losing weight as well. Even when I took Andrews for the upset stomach, it didn't really help. During this time, my grandmother was traveling, and we just say traveling as if she was dying slowly because she wasn't really responsive or communicating with us as she would usually. So I will be continuing this testimony